What's up, guys? Welcome back. Now, Amazon's Rings of Power is setting up anybody who watches it that has not read Lord of the Rings or anything from it for disappointment. Yeah, Amazon's Rings of Power is setting up the new generation for severe disappointment if they watch Rings of Power. And here's how. Um, you see, okay, let me start by saying there's always been a problem with adapting books and literature to screen. All right, I'll take these off, see if I can deal with this. I can't see the screen with these on. There's always been a problem with adapting literature to screen. That's a given. There's always been a problem with it. Back in the 70s, there was an adaptation of Lord of the Rings done into animation, and it kind of fell flat. It was slated to be a 2-part movie series, and I think only the first part was ever made because it fell flat. But even then, when I went to read Lord of the Rings afterwards, I was not disappointed, like at all. And then after reading Lord of the Rings, I went to read the Silmarillion. Now that was a completely different read from the Lord of the Rings. It's the Silmarillion's kind of like reading the Bible. It really is. There's no action in it. We can say it suffers from pacing issues because it wasn't written as a book. The Silmarillion is just a collection of Tolkien's basically unfinished and works and backlog lore that was posthumously published after the Lord of the Rings with no real plan. Having said that, the new generation that has not read a lick of Tolkien, if they get introduced to Tolkien with Amazon's Rings of Power, and then they go and watch the Lord of the Rings, and or in between that they get jazzed on the books to go read the Lord of the Rings books, cool. They'll enjoy the Lord of the Rings books. But if they get the inclination to go read the Silmarillion, they are going to be so bored with it, they're not going to appreciate it for what it is. Rings of Power is setting up our generation to be disappointed with a work of art and dismiss it because it's not going to be Rings of Power. They're going to love the Rings of Power. This new generation is going to love the Rings of Power. Let me tell you, if it didn't have the Tolkien Estates association with it and it was titled something else, this would be a good fantasy series. I'm going to say that. This would be a good fantasy series. The new generation is going to love this. And it's unfortunate for them because they're going to be sorely disappointed when they try and go read the Silmarillion, which is a beautiful work of art. It's a montage. It's a collage. The Silmarillion is a collage of artworks, and it's like walking through a museum. Reading the Silmarillion is like walking through a museum and looking at a bunch of different artworks. This one is beautiful. The one next to it might have something to do with it. It might have nothing to do with it, and in and of itself is beautiful. And the one next to it might have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with any of it, and itself is beautiful. And Amazon is setting up this generation to not want to be particularly interested in that because it's not Rings of Power. That's what I have to say about it.